Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of MS Music Reviews. Today we got
Stavion.
and I'm Michael. Now we got a very interesting topic to talk about, and I'm gonna let Stavion take it away.
All right, so today we're gonna be talking about
Good old AutoTune.
Now, there's a lot that goes into AutoTune, but for now, I'm gonna start talking about how AutoTune specifically works. What AutoTune is it takes the pitch of a recording and tunes it to whatever the nearest note would be, or sometimes farther, depending on how you set the settings of said AutoTune. There are different types, different brands that you can buy and use as plugins, and they all work pretty well. I can't say they all work pretty well, but the ones that I've been, introduced to work fine. So in the West, we have a specific type of a
Metric?
of a metric that we use for frequency and how we make those notes. So basically, we use our model, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B.
Yeah.
And we use the notes, and then we use the little sharps in between, and so in general, this is not the only way that notes in general or frequencies in music are used, but since we do it in the West, and that's primarily how people listen to music, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
So what are some what do you think about this? First of all, what do you think about AutoTune? How do you think it's used? Do you think it's used poorly in today's music?
First of all, right after what you said, I really like the idea of having something that kind of pitches it up, pitches it down, fixes and makes something a little bit more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very fascinating, find that very cool, especially for people that don't have enough time to actually put in the effort or go back in their songs and fix them.
Mm-hmm.
If they got 2 or 3 other projects on the way.
Yeah.
And they need to release them on schedule for an EP or anything in that sort.
That's a common use for AutoTune. Typically, if I got like 3, 4, 5 projects coming out, then I can't sit there and just try to, retake every little issue that I'm having with things, because it could be something simple, like I started the phrase, and when I started the pitch, it was slightly flat, and then I moved it up. Right.
Yeah.
So stuff like that happens a lot, frequently, and that is what AutoTune is for, to fix those tiny mistakes and to move things a little smoother.
Iron out the edges, make sure everything's nice, crisp, and clean, and just an overall really good project.
Yeah.
I do have a question though.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, since AutoTune is so popular, especially nowadays, what is a good example of good AutoTune, and what is a bad example of AutoTune? It could be a song, it could be pretty much anything that you've heard in the last 5 years.
Okay. So far as good examples of AutoTune, I would have like 2. Some of the best examples of AutoTune is tracks where you barely, if don't hear it at all. So, I would say listen to something with like a really good singer in it, because more than likely the producer probably threw AutoTune on there, but you don't really hear it because that singer is just so good to the point where it's only fixing so minor things that it's just basically not even present.
Yeah.
So most studio versions of songs have AutoTune on them. That's just to make them sound professional,
Obviously.
But like, that don't make them bad. I will say that does not make them bad. Using AutoTune does not inherently make them bad. So some of the best singers and musicians probably use AutoTune. They probably just throw it on there last minute.
It's just more low key, right?
Yeah, it's just a lot more low key. Like, I like Charlie Puth as a singer. Puth. One of them. But I like him as a singer. He's a really good singer in my opinion. And you know, there's times where, you know, he does use AutoTune, but I understand and I know that, you know, he can sing regardless of that.
For sure.
I would say another good example is something where the AutoTune is present and you know it's present, but the singer can still sing very well. A T-Pain is a good example of that. Like,
okay.
T-Pain can sing pretty well. I don't know if you guys have like looked up T-Pain just raw vocals or without AutoTune. He can sing really well. But he still uses AutoTune for aesthetic reasons.
Obviously.
So that's another good, in my opinion, another good use of it.
Now how about some bad uses?
Bad uses. I would say a lot of the rappers that use AutoTune, to me, do not do a good job. We talked about Future a couple of episodes ago, and part of the reason why I did not like the vocals was because of the oversaturation of that AutoTune. Like, it was just poor to me. Like, I did not like it. It was not smooth. It sounded extremely robotic, and it was not fluid with the overall song, and that's why I did not like the vocals specifically in that song. So that's an example, in my opinion, of some bad AutoTune. It's usually poorly done. It sounds very robotic, and it doesn't really flow very well on songs.
Okay. You didn't have a second one?
Wait, a second bad one?
Yeah.
No, I just had the two. I just had the two good ones and then the one bad
And then
one.
the overall for most rappers, such as Future.
Yeah, because most of the time, a lot of rappers don't know like about music stuff. They just know how to write bars. And usually in the music industry, a lot of people have their kind of niche. It's usually like, okay, well, that person is a lyricist, so they only really do lyrics. That person is a drummer, so they really only do drumming. It's very rare that you see somebody that does pretty much all of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
that puts it into perspective for me.
yeah, it puts a lot of things in perspective, because a lot of these people only know one thing, and because they only know one thing, they're relying on someone else to do everything else for them.
Ooh, we do know some people like that. But I did have another question for you.
Go ahead.
You already answered basically some good, bad examples. We already know it's very popular. But now I want to know, is it needed?
I feel like in today's day and age, yes. Two reasons why I feel like it's needed. The number one reason is because we are living in the data age, right? Like, this is where you have to make a lot of content, otherwise you basically become irrelevant. So a lot of the times people expect consistent music from you. Even Daniel Ek, the founder and owner of Spotify, said himself that you can no longer get away with putting out one album and then that'll carry you for the rest of your life. You need to put out multiple songs, multiple pieces of work, multiple albums and stuff of that nature. And this is the owner of Spotify, mind you. So nowadays you need to have a lot more content out there. And if you're trying to constantly, do 30,000 recordings of the one thing, you're never going to be able to pump out enough music in a timely manner to actually get enough fans and to actually monetize enough to be able to actually live off of this and actually make decent money off of it.
Otherwise, you get like Kendrick Lamar.
But Kendrick is already established and everything. I'm talking about like newer up and coming artists.
Okay.
So that's reason number one, because it's time constraints. You could run out of time trying to take the long way around. It's good if you don't have a bunch of, time constraints on you. Like, if you're an independent artist, then sure, you can pretty much do that. But if you have like a label or something breathing down your neck, you're probably gonna need it because you don't have the time. Number two, obviously, if you're not a good singer, you're probably gonna need it. But even if you are a good singer, some of the times it's is beneficial because there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily have full control over, like things like sibilance, things like you know, the pulsives, P's, Q's, or P's, excuse me, B's, and a lot of consonants and stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
Those things will also mess with your pitch a little bit in the beginning of it, because when you kind of come off of that onto the pitch, it might kind of have it a little off. So it'll fix those little issues that you have there. I mean, if you're a good singer, you might be able to hide it a little bit better, but sometimes it still kind of does screw with you a little bit. I mean, the pulsives and stuff in general, normally you would have like a pop filter or something to, you know, stop those, and along with the sibilance. But
Of course.
in general, it'll still throw you off just a little bit on the pitches. And, you know, being a singer myself, that's something I'm well acquainted with. Any other questions, man?
I do have one more question.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is the right question to ask, but are you gonna use AutoTune?
I mean, I tend to not really want to use it as much. Like normally, like I explained earlier, with the better. Well,
If you're a better singer, you don't need it as much.
Yes.
But if you use it, it's pretty much like nonchalant.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this. I have a vocal recorder on my phone, and I usually, when I record, I have that out so I can see where, you know, was this note on pitch? Was it a little flat? Was it a little sharp? Where was it at? So normally I know if something is off, and if it's too far off, I'll just know immediately from just listening to it. And then I'll usually retake those. So usually by the end of my session, I just kind of throw it on there so it sounds uniform.
Yeah.
But in general, do I like go in and like, you know, like, okay, I want this note to be like right there and that right there. I don't.
Sometimes.
I tend to not really do that because I go so hard in the recordings in the beginning that I don't really use it as much for that. I use it kind of just to make it sound uniform.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, yeah. That
Also,
answers
check
my
out
question.
some of my music. Check out some of my music on Spotify. I got my own YouTube channel. Check me out, Stavion Quit. I got a new song coming out.
The plug-in. Gotta get it in.
But yeah, I mean, I that's pretty much all I would have to say about AutoTune. It is very useful and beneficial. Please keep an open mind about it. I know there's a lot of stigma behind it, like, oh, you know, you use AutoTune, that means you're a bad singer or you can't sing. No, a lot of people use it. A lot of people use it for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's aesthetic. Some of the times they just want it to sound uniform. Some of the times they just time constraints.
Time constraints.
And there are the people who use it for just because they cannot sing very well, or because maybe they're just a lyricist and they don't know much about the whole musicality of things.
I've actually noticed that a lot recently.
Yeah.
When I've seen a lot of producers or like people that write good stuff, they are not good performers, and maybe that's why.
Well, like I said, you know, sometimes there's a lot of people that just have their niche specifically, and they don't really know how to do much else outside of that. For me, I don't have that specific problem because I grew up singing in choirs and stuff. So, and
Top of his class.
Thank you. Thank you. Just graduated. Got
For
me
sure.
a bachelor's degree and shit and this shit. But yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I think this is a good. I think I learned a lot. I think a lot of the viewers learned a lot. You know, AutoTune is an amazing tool. I hope more people use it. And yeah.
Alrighty. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you again on the next video. Make sure you check out my channel for my music, and make sure you check out our editor's channel. Actually, he makes some great content, and I'm pretty sure those are gonna pop up like right here somewhere,
Yeah.
or
maybe
or
on
over
the ad,
here, or
maybe in the corner.
I don't know
Who
where
knows?
you're gonna be at. Who
Maybe on
knows?
my face.
Somewhere.
That'd probably be the best.
You know, that's a nice face. That's a nice face. You
Yeah,
got there.
right.
It's very
a good,
plump.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very plump.
It's very wide, kind of square. You know.
I'm seeing the face in HD right now. It's really good.
Fantastic.
It's good stuff.
Just click on that face and maybe you'll see more. But hey guys, don't forget to comment in the comment section below what kind of music videos or music you think AutoTune was pretty good in. And don't forget to hit that notification button. Until next time, see you guys later.